Take a quiet moment with me and turn your attention inward, because what you're about to hear could completely change the way you've been thinking about your dreams. Imagine if the relationship you long for, the financial freedom you seek, the healing you need, the opportunity you've been waiting on, or the future you've hardly dared to speak about, isn't something you're meant to chase endlessly. What if that desire exists within you because it is pointing you towards something that already belongs to you? What if your deepest longing isn't questioning your worth, but revealing your purpose? What if every genuine desire is life's way of telling you, this path was prepared for you. Step forward and receive it. Today, I want to help you let go of one of the biggest illusions that keeps people trapped in frustration, fear, and constant self-doubt. You are not begging the universe for a favor. You are not trying to convince some distant force to finally acknowledge you. You are not standing outside the gates of abundance hoping someone will eventually let you in. The truth is much greater than that. Every authentic desire placed within your heart has meaning. It was never given to tease you with something impossible or to fill your life with endless disappointment. It was planted like a seed, carrying the promise of what can grow. The universe doesn't awaken a sacred longing inside you only to deny its fulfillment. It doesn't place a vision in your imagination and then abandon you. That desire is there because something within you is already being called into expression. For far too long, people have believed they must earn every blessing through struggle. They've accepted the idea that they must suffer more, sacrifice more, improve themselves endlessly, and somehow prove they deserve happiness before life will finally reward them. That belief may sound wise, but it only keeps people imprisoned by limitation. The universe is not holding back your good until you become worthy enough. It is not waiting for you to meet some invisible standard before allowing joy into your life. It is not measuring your pain to decide whether you finally earned your blessing. The reality is far more freeing. Your assumptions shape your experience. The moment a sincere desire appears within your consciousness, the possibility already exists. If you can imagine it, if you can feel its presence, if your heart continues to return to it, then it has already entered your awareness as a potential reality. It exists like a seed, waiting for your acceptance to bring it into visible form. You are not trying to persuade life to give you something new. You are learning to receive what has already been made available. Think about it honestly. Why would your imagination reveal a future that could never exist? Why would your heart continue calling you toward something with no place in your journey? Why would such a powerful longing remain alive within you if it carried no purpose? Your desire is not random, it is not meaningless, and it certainly is not a cruel trick. It is an invitation. Yet most people immediately respond with doubt. They ask themselves if they're worthy, if they're ready, if they've done enough, or whether they should become someone different before expecting anything to change. In doing so, they unknowingly place distance between themselves and the very blessing that is already reaching toward them. Understand this clearly. The universe does not inspire your heart in order to punish you. It does not show you fulfillment simply to keep it out of reach. When a desire refuses to leave you, it isn't weakness speaking. It is divine wisdom gently leading you toward your next level of life. It is God saying, "This belongs to you. Accept it. Live from its fulfillment. Believe it is already accomplished." You may compare your dreams with someone else's and wonder why your calling looks different. Why this relationship? Why this work? Why this future? Why this healing instead of another path? Because your journey was never meant to be identical to anyone else's. Every soul unfolds differently, and the desires living within you are perfectly aligned with your own expansion. You were never designed to pursue someone else's purpose. The longing that continues to burn inside you isn't distracting you, it's directing you. A desire that remains alive within your heart is not an interruption, it is a calling. And remember this above everything else. The universe would never lead you toward something forever beyond your reach. It would never point you toward a door that could never be opened. The reason you can see that door at all is because, on a deeper level, the way has already been prepared. Your task is not to create the possibility through endless effort. Your task is simply to awaken to the reality that it has always been waiting for you. I remember speaking with a man who had carried an idea inside him for years. Deep down, he dreamed of writing a book, but every time he thought about beginning, his own doubts stopped him. He believed he wasn't educated enough, talented enough, or significant enough to call himself a writer. He would always say, "Who am I to write a book? There are professionals with degrees and experience. There are people much more qualified than I am." So I asked him one question. If that story wasn't meant for you, then why does it keep living inside you instead of someone else? He didn't answer immediately. He simply sat there in silence. Then I asked, "Do you really believe the universe plants dreams by mistake? Do you think the vision that keeps returning to your heart has no purpose? Do you believe something that refuses to leave your mind arrived there by accident?" I watched his expression change. Something inside him relaxed. Then I told him, "The desire itself is your confirmation. The fact that it continues to live within you means it was meant to be expressed through you." Those words changed everything. He stopped asking whether he deserved to become an author. He no longer waited for permission or searched for proof that he was worthy. Instead, he accepted that if the desire existed, then the opportunity already existed as well. From that moment forward, he simply began writing. Eventually, his book was published, and it reached thousands of readers, not because he suddenly became worthy, but because he finally accepted what had been true from the beginning. That is the lesson I want you to carry with you. Your desire is not an obstacle placed in your path. It is not a cruel illusion or a test designed to frustrate you. It is an invitation asking you to step into a greater version of yourself. There is another belief that keeps countless people waiting year after year. They convince themselves that life is holding back their blessings until they are somehow ready. People often say, "Maybe I need more time. Maybe there are more lessons to learn. Maybe I have to heal completely first. Maybe I need to become a better person before life will finally reward me." But where did that belief come from? Who convinced you that the universe delays your blessings simply for the sake of delay? The truth is, the universe is not postponing anything. Most of the waiting comes from within you. Life does not stand over you, deciding whether enough time has passed. It doesn't keep a calendar of when you're finally allowed to receive happiness. Instead, it responds to the state of consciousness you consistently occupy. It reflects the assumptions you accept as true. If you believe you aren't ready, life faithfully mirrors that belief. If you assume your blessings belong somewhere in the future, your experience reflects that expectation. If you feel undeserving, your outer world echoes the same story. But when you genuinely assume your desire already belongs to you, reality begins moving in harmony with that assumption. The universe functions like a perfect mirror. A mirror never argues, criticizes, or judges. It simply reflects whatever stands before it. Tell yourself you're not ready for love, and the mirror agrees. Say wealth isn't meant for you yet, and it reflects that belief. Decide you must continue suffering before healing can arrive, and life presents experiences that support that assumption. The mirror isn't creating those beliefs. You are. Reality simply gives them back to you. The truth is far simpler than you've been taught. The moment a sincere desire awakens within you, you are already capable of stepping into the state that fulfills it. Think about a small child learning to walk. That child never wonders whether they've earned the right to stand. They don't question if they're prepared enough or spiritually qualified to take their first steps. They simply feel the desire to walk, so they try. They stumble, they fall, then they stand again. Never once do they conclude that walking isn't meant for them. They don't decide they'll crawl forever because the first attempts were difficult. They keep moving because walking feels natural. Your deepest desires work exactly the same way. The fact that they continue calling you forward is evidence that you are prepared to grow into them. You don't have to earn permission to dream. You don't need to justify your longing or shrink yourself before expecting life to expand around you. Your only task is to accept within yourself that what you desire already belongs to you. I also remember a woman whose life changed completely after she embraced this understanding. She attended one of my lectures years ago. She was in her 40s, unmarried, and carrying a deep sense of loneliness. She had convinced herself that love had passed her by forever. In her mind, she was too old, too late, and no longer someone life would choose for happiness. She believed all the right opportunities had disappeared, and that perhaps she was destined to spend the rest of her life alone. Yet one thing never disappeared. The longing for love remained alive inside her. No matter how much she tried to dismiss it, the desire refused to leave. After the lecture, she approached me and quietly asked, "I want to believe everything you've shared today. But how can I know the universe truly wants me to experience love? What if I'm only fooling myself?" I smiled and asked her one question. "Is love still the deepest desire in your heart?" She answered, "Yes." I said, "Then you've already received your answer. That desire itself is the evidence. The universe doesn't awaken a longing within you only to deny it forever. Your longing isn't your punishment. It's your invitation." That longing wasn't there to torment her. It was showing her the way forward. From that day on, everything inside her began to shift. She no longer searched for proof that she deserved love. She stopped asking whether she had permission to experience it. Instead of focusing on everything that hadn't happened yet, she embraced a new belief. If this desire lives within me, then love is already seeking expression through my life. If this longing was placed in my heart, then its fulfillment must already exist. Every evening she entered the feeling of being deeply loved, not as something waiting in the future, but as something already true. She lived inwardly as someone who was cherished, valued, and chosen. Her prayers no longer came from emptiness or lack. They came from gratitude and quiet acceptance. Within 3 months, after years of believing she would always be alone, she met someone. It didn't happen because she desperately searched for the right person. It wasn't the result of forcing circumstances or chasing every opportunity. Life brought them together through a series of completely unexpected events that she never could have planned. Later she told me, "Everything changed the moment I stopped asking whether I was allowed to have love. As soon as I accepted that it already belonged to me, the fear disappeared. The desperation faded. I simply carried the quiet certainty that it was already mine." That is the transformation I want you to understand. Stop asking for permission. Stop measuring your value. Stop believing you must earn what has already been placed before you. If the desire is alive within you, life is inviting you to receive it. Now, let's make this practical. The first step is to recognize every genuine desire as evidence. When the same dream keeps returning to your mind again and again, don't dismiss it as wishful thinking. That persistent feeling has a purpose. The universe doesn't whisper once and then disappear. It continues placing the vision before you until you're willing to accept it. Second, let go of the obsession with figuring out every detail. Your responsibility is not to control the journey. Your responsibility is to accept the destination. The route will unfold naturally, often in ways your logical mind could never predict or create through force. Third, stop putting your worth on trial. Every time you ask yourself, do I deserve this? You create unnecessary distance between yourself and your desire. Instead, replace doubt with certainty. Tell yourself, this desire exists for a reason. I accept that it belongs to me. Think about receiving a gift. When someone offers you one, they don't expect you to explain all your flaws before accepting it. They simply want you to receive it with appreciation and joy. The universe works much the same way. The fourth step is the greatest secret of all. Live from the fulfilled desire. Experience it inwardly right now. Feel the peace. See the outcome. Rest in the conviction that your wish is already complete on the unseen level. You aren't trying to convince life to change. You're aligning yourself with what already exists within consciousness. Close your eyes and picture the moment that would naturally happen if your desire had already become reality. Don't imagine it as a distant possibility. Experience it as a present fact. Don't imagine from hope. Imagine from certainty. The answer has already been given. Finally, begin living like someone who has already received what they asked for. Stop carrying yourself like someone begging life for scraps. Move through your days with the calm confidence of someone who knows the answer is already on its way. Not with pride, not with force, not with desperation. Walk with quiet assurance. Walk with gratitude. Walk with peaceful expectation. Perhaps you're thinking, but what about all the times things didn't work out? What about every disappointment? What about the opportunities I lost? Doesn't that prove this isn't meant for me? Listen carefully. A closed door doesn't always mean rejection. Many times it simply points you toward a better direction. Sometimes it means the timing isn't right. Sometimes it means you're approaching your desire from a state that cannot yet sustain it. Life always reflects your dominant state of consciousness. If you seek from desperation, you continue experiencing desperation. If you approach life believing you are unworthy, you'll struggle to receive even when opportunities appear. If you continue identifying as someone who lacks, your outer world will keep reflecting that identity. So what feels like delay is often not denial at all. It's an opportunity to change the state from which you're living. Not because you aren't good enough, but because you've been identifying with a version of yourself that no longer serves you. The desire hasn't disappeared. The invitation is still there. The promise hasn't been withdrawn. The only thing left is to align yourself with it. The moment that inner shift happens, everything around you begins responding differently. I've watched it happen more times than I can count. Doors that once refused to open suddenly welcome people in. Hidden opportunities appear where nothing seemed possible before. Situations that looked impossible become completely natural, not because the universe suddenly decided to reward them, because they finally changed the assumptions they carried within themselves. I once knew a man who struggled with money for many years. He worked tirelessly, often holding more than one job at the same time, yet financial pressure never seemed to leave him. He came to me exhausted, discouraged, and convinced that no matter how hard he worked, life refused to reward him. He looked at me and said, "I've done everything I know how to do. I've worked endlessly, yet I'm still struggling. What am I missing?" I answered him with complete honesty. You've been trying to earn something that is already available to you. Every action you take is coming from the belief that you don't have enough, so life continues reflecting that belief back to you. He replied, "But I still have to work. I can't simply sit back and expect money to appear." I smiled and said, "I'm not telling you to stop working. I'm telling you to stop working from a state of lack. Let your work come from the assumption that abundance already belongs to you. Accept that prosperity is your natural state, and then allow your actions to flow from that belief." He decided to practice it. Every morning before leaving for work, he sat quietly for a few minutes and reminded himself, "Abundance is meant for me. I gladly receive it. I am already prosperous within." He spent time feeling the peace and freedom that financial security would bring, not as something waiting in the future, but as something already established inside him. Then he went to work carrying that inner certainty. The changes came quickly. 2 weeks later, his employer unexpectedly offered him a raise without him asking for one. A few weeks after that, an opportunity on the side appeared that doubled his monthly income. Not long afterward, a completely new position opened that paid nearly 3 times what he had earned before. Nothing about the man had changed on the outside. He was the same person, living in the same place with the same talents. The only thing that changed was his state of consciousness. And when that changed, his outer world followed. When he returned to see me, he smiled and said, "It feels like life was simply waiting for me to stop fighting and finally allow myself to receive." Exactly. He had stopped resisting what was already available. He had stopped arguing against his own desire. He no longer questioned whether he deserved abundance. He simply accepted it. I want this truth to settle deeply into your heart. Your desires are not proof that something is missing in your life. They are proof that something greater is trying to emerge through you. They reveal that you're expanding into a larger expression of yourself. Most importantly, they remind you that life is already inviting you toward their fulfillment. If a sincere desire had no place in your journey, it would never have taken root inside you in the first place. So stop judging yourself for wanting more. Stop feeling guilty for dreaming bigger. Stop questioning the voice inside your heart. Instead, quietly declare, "This desire lives within me. Therefore, it already exists in my consciousness. I receive it with gratitude." Then begin living from that understanding. Think from it, feel from it, speak from it, act from it. Not with pride, not with entitlement, not with anxious effort, but with peaceful confidence, sincere gratitude, and a willingness to receive. You're not trying to take something away from an unwilling universe. You're opening yourself to what an abundant universe has already prepared for you. Those two states couldn't be more different. One creates struggle, the other creates flow. Now the choice belongs to you. You can continue believing that every blessing must be earned through endless effort, convincing yourself that life is waiting for you to become worthy enough. Or you can embrace a different truth. You can recognize that the desire itself is your invitation. The answer has already been given. Now your acceptance is all that's required. Stop asking for permission. Stop wondering if you're ready. Stop waiting for a sign outside yourself. The desire is the sign. The longing is the evidence. The invitation has already been placed within your heart. If it exists in your consciousness, it already belongs there. And what you consistently accept within will, in time, appear in your outer experience. So tonight, before you close your eyes, choose one desire you've quietly carried for a long time, the one you've doubted, the one you've questioned, the one you've wondered was ever truly meant for you. Then gently say to yourself, "I accept this desire. It already belongs to me. I receive it with complete trust. Allow yourself to feel the peace that comes from surrender. Feel the relief of no longer forcing. Feel the quiet confidence that comes from knowing. Then let yourself rest. Trust that life responds to the state you consistently occupy. Trust that what is accepted within will eventually be reflected without. Trust that even now, unseen circumstances are arranging themselves to match your new assumption. Stop resisting what has already been offered. Begin receiving it. Watch your world gradually reorganize itself around the truth you finally accepted. Good night, my friends. May you embrace what has always been waiting for you. Remember, it was never outside of you. It has always been yours to receive. This is Neville. Wisdom Library. Thank you for spending this time with me, and I'll see you again in the next video.